Okay, so yesterday we told you a lot about what is happening on the health sector. Tonight we're staying there, at least for the big one, because the lives of some pregnant women in labor at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital now hinge on the nurses' discretion, because we're told that some of them are turned away because the nurses consider their condition as not too critical.
The Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra is the leading national referral center in the country, receiving more than 1,500 outpatients daily, most of whom are referred from other health facilities. 6 days into the doctor's strike, and patients who visit the hospital are not sure whether they will be attended to. Currently, at the obstetrics and gynecology department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, this is their OPD, and we are being told that this is one of the busiest units at the hospital because pregnant women come here weekly for their antenatal services. But as you can see today, the place is virtually empty. The few people who are sitting here have been waiting for hours. Some of them have been referred from other health facilities, and they are just sitting here on hope that at least a nurse may attend to them.
She goes to antenatal at the Akawi, but when she got there this morning, she was referred to here, Kolebu here. So she called us and we brought her here. And when we came, the first person we met told her the doctors are on strike. But when she looked at the folder, she directed us to the nurses that right now attending to her.
My sister never be what I say. I say in the folder until you knew how far. I can't tell unless he comes out. Yeah, Sana, you say, yeah. But only at the floor, you be at the time. I do not make all the doctors in your mamma. I want to say what they say. We doctor, mammy, maybe and a cry, no more for the mammy. Because of break serious.
They are not alone. Esther, referred from a hospital in Takwa, has been here since Friday but is yet to be attended to.
I was referred because they found some complications when I went for a scan. I was scheduled for Tuesday when I came last Friday, but I've been here since morning and yet to be attended to.
The only cases which are attended to are emergencies. Some pregnant women who said they are due for labor were turned away to try their luck elsewhere. At the OPD of the children's block, nurses turned away cases they thought were not emergencies. A few clients were seated in anticipation of getting access to a doctor.
We just told you what is happening there at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We're told that some regional hospitals, some district hospitals are quite doing well. The situation is not as bad as what you saw. Let's stay with some private hospitals. We were told that some of them are admitting that they are receiving more cases, particularly card-bearing members of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
The Cocoa Clinic at North Kanishi in Accra was busy Tuesday morning. Management of the hospital, who spoke off camera, said there had been a slight increase in cases of card-bearing members of the National Health Insurance Scheme at the outpatient department. A similar story was told at the Eden Family Hospital, also at North Kanishi. The chief executive of the hospital, Dr. Andre Kwasikuma, admitted an increase in cases at the outpatient department.
You can tell from where they are coming from and the fact that they are not regular patients and they hold NHIS cards, that probably because the government hospitals are not working, that is why they are coming to our end. We have ward if we realize that we are getting to our capacity, and then we have to make sure that the ambulance service is up to scratch, and then we'll have to transport patients that come so that we don't delay patients if we don't have space.
He anticipated the pressure at the 37 military and police hospitals.
Danger is going to be when we have to refer cases. Then everything will have to go to either 37 or police hospital. That will be a referral center because Kolebu will not be able to take in our cases. So there's going to be a lot of refer cases to 37 and a military hospital and police hospital as the strike persists.
Right, so those were images. What really has been happening across some sectors of the health sector. But it is not all that bad news, because we can tell you that the nurses at the psychiatric hospital in Accra have called off their strike. Now, this was after the assurance by the employment minister that their salaries that has been delayed for some months will be paid. Now, according to the minister, he has requested the Auditor General to speed up with the verification and validation of names of the nurses for payment to begin very soon. So, Employment Minister really in the news there, quite hot this particular week, and he has been trying to calm down tensions and particularly ensure that things are normalized as far as the health sector is concerned. Haruna Idrisu, Minister of Employment and Labour Relations. Let me quickly speak to Emmanuel Fibri. He speaks for these aggrieved nurses at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. He's just joined me on phone. Ima, we're grateful. Now, what we're hearing should be good news for you and the other nurses.
Good evening to your listeners. Exactly, that's how it's supposed to be. Per what transpired today, that's how it's supposed to be.
Great. And you are returning to work tomorrow?
Exactly. So, from the very first day that we started this whole strike issue, we've also been saying that it's not something that we always want to. In fact, as essential workers, we know how important our work is and how demanding it is. And we are always ready to serve our patients and serve the nation as well. That's how we never lay down our tools to go home. But as usual, we went to the hospital with our uniforms and everything, wanting the world to know that we are ready to work. So per what transpired today, we are hoping that the money will be paid by September, and then as the minister said, so we will return to work.
And particularly, you, proud to this, your sit-down strike, suggested or said that, of course, you have received several assurances which do not materialize. But you're telling me today that you're hopeful that this particular one from the employment minister will see you receiving your salaries in September?
Yeah, with what happened initially, it was almost verbal every blessed day. But today, what happened, we actually went to see our own documents, how the whole process goes about it, the input and everything being done. And as I speak with you, the minister has actually directed that our documents be worked upon. So initially, it was just words of verbal and everything. But now, documentation and everything is taking place. And we are taking him by his words. And we hope that as the minister, I don't think he want to put his ministry and himself on the line. And he wouldn't want his this position to just be there. So we are just taken by his word.
So you're suggesting that at least you saw documents, but did you sign any document as far as the payment schedule that was outlined by the minister's consent?
Yeah, exactly so. We're shown documents and everything, and as I say with you, there's going to be an MOU between us and them in the coming weeks. So all these things will be made available. Actually, with the way things are going, we might even get our money before the September. But we hope that at least by September ending, everybody will be paid. And in fact, it is not going to be just nurses at psychiatric hospital. It may even affect other nurses all over in the country. So we've taken the minister by his words, and because we care about our patients and the country so much. These are innocent patients who have been neglected in the society and all that. We wouldn't want to just leave them to just walk on the streets, to just go and do things that are untold. So we don't want that to happen. So because of our patients, we are resuming work tomorrow morning. So when you come, you see us going about our normal duty with patients being catered for.
The minister also mentioned the fact that the main reason why your salaries delayed was that there was an arrangement to ensure that this whole thing of employing persons and their salaries delayed becomes a thing of the past. So there was a process that was ongoing to make sure that all of you are properly inputted into the platform of the controller and accountant general's department. Now, are you satisfied that perhaps when your salaries are paid, you won't have your colleague nurses who are joining the system also being delayed for some time before they receive their salaries?
Exactly so. These are the issues that we've always been talking about, because as nurses, if you are going to be employed and your money is not going to be paid, it's a sad thing. So that is something that the minister told us today, and we're taking by his words, that even those who are going to be employed, the system is going to be corrected in such a way that when you come and you start working, there's no way your money will be there, nobody will pay. You have to work for that number of months that we have to work for, about 11 months or so, that the salary coming. They're going to put measures in place for some of these things to be rectified. So we are hoping so, and we are hoping that even nurses whom up to now have not been employed and they are still in the house will also be employed and be given the money that they all need, because the ratio now is not the best at all. So we are taking by its words, hoping that the money will be paid.
All right. Emmanuel Fabry, we're grateful that you spoke to us tonight. And of course, we'll stay on this particular issue because nurses at the psychiatric hospital tomorrow are going back to work tomorrow. Perhaps some good news there. We'll definitely try and speak to them on what transpires tomorrow. But we'll very soon also be speaking to a man with the Labour front, because a lot of issues there. Daniel Opoku will be speaking to us on what has been transpiring, the doctor saga, the GOSPA, Government Hospital and Pharmacists Association, and precisely what the situation is. Daniel Opoku has just joined me on phone. Daniel, we're grateful. What can you tell us? It's been a heated week. Starting from last week, we're in the second week. It is still ongoing. Government struggling to deal with it. Labour simply not yielding to government's request to go back to work. What can you tell us?
Good evening to you, Nana Bright. Yes, as you have rightly stated, GOSPA is not happy with regard to some key issues. That's the payment of interim market premium, their conversion difference after they were migrated from the health services salary structure to the single span pay salary structure. There's the need for government to pay them conversion difference. That has not been done. And secondly, their grading structure, where they were placed on a single span, they have problems with that. And for about 4 years, in the case of GOSPA, they have been fighting this for about 4 years. And government has not been able to resolve. Under the former Chief of Staff, Mr. Professor Abani, a subcommittee was set up for them to sit and deliberate on the issues. After recommendations were made, the subcommittee requested or directed the Minister of Finance to do payments. And as we speak, currently the payments have not been done. And after a meeting yesterday within the circles of GOSPA, the entire members have decided they would like to withdraw their services, which they have done currently as I speak to you. So unless government says, or the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, including the Fairness and Salaries Commission, the two entities, unless they sit with GOSPA for them to trash out some of these issues before GOSPA will be satisfied for them to resume work.
But Daniel, the Employment Minister has been working hard today. We've heard him speak to us earlier on, and he's been talking about the fact that these persons will need to go back to work and then continue the negotiations. Is that not what GOSPA is listening?
Now, when you listen to the leadership of GOSPA and their entire members, their major concern has to do with what they term as these numerous promises that government over the years has been making to them. Now, when you speak to Gospel will tell you that government will promise A and do otherwise. And for about 4 years, the litany of promises that the government has made to them and government has not fulfilled with regard to the payment of these with their interim convention difference I stated earlier. Even though they are listening to what government, even the chief of staff, the current chief of staff, Honorable just they were requested for a week to resolve that problem, and then 1 week will elapse coming Thursday. Even that, ahead of the 1 week elapsing on Thursday, Gospel has still withdrawn itself, meaning that they believe that a litany of promises that government has given to them, government has been unable to fulfill some of these promises. So there's this level of mistrust between members of Gospel and government. For that reason, there's a problem existing that our government with Gospel and clear out this mistrust for them to meet the demand fully of that of Gospel. Then I believe Gospel will resume work. And that becomes very difficult because there's this level of mistrust between the two parties.
So, Daniel, you can conclude and confirm that for the Gospel members, their strike is still on.
Yeah, with Gospel members, the strike is still on. And what we have gathered currently as I speak to you, that is likely the Sector Minister of Employment and Labour Relations who meeting the members of Gospel, including the leadership of the doctors, for them to trash out some of these issues. The minister this afternoon acknowledged that Gospel has a case because their issue has been lingering on for about 4 years now. But the problem has to do with, I think, the payment. And some issues have to be validated and verified. Okay. These are the difficulties that the sector minister has promised that by close of day tomorrow we'll be able to resolve these concerns between Gospel and that of the Ghana Medical Association.
Let's hope we get some conclusion that will bring joy to the people. But let's quickly jump to the GMA and see. The minister has been talking about the fact that these doctors simply, he's begging, he's been pleading, he's been asking them to go back to work, and that these are issues that government is looking at. Government has actually agreed to some of their demands. There are some that government says it cannot due to budgetary constraints. Now, precisely, how is the front of the doctors and then the government negotiations? How is it? What is it happening now?
Now, right. When you speak to the leaders of Ghana Medical Association, at their last meeting for them to discuss and negotiate on the demands that they presented before government, ideally we were told that they presented about 15 items, out of which government was able to agree to 9. But these are unconfirmed, so we are still getting, but that was what we were told.
Right.
But currently, the problem between government and the Ghana Medical Association with regard to that condition of service, the government has to sit and do proper negotiations with the leadership of the Ghana Medical Association. I think that will compel, that will allow GMA for them to resume work. And the major problem that we have also seen...
Daniel, sorry I have to cut in, but you're suggesting that government will have to sit down and do proper negotiations. But the minister says that negotiations are still ongoing, and that it's been ongoing, and that these doctors should not start a strike.
Yeah, negotiations are still ongoing. There hasn't been any deadlock. If you could recall, the last meeting that they had was last week, Friday, before the doctors embark on this strike that's withdrawing of OPD treatments. Negotiations are still ongoing. But the problem is that because GMA said they issued or served the notice from November, and this year, a committee was put out for them to trash out and resolve their problem by bringing out their conditions of service. After the document was presented to the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, including the Minister of Health, a meeting purported to have taken place between 19th June was not able to take place until last week that they were able to meet and discuss some of. So GMA, from the side of GMA, they believe that they have not been treated fairly. So they feel that they have not been treated fairly. They were thinking that government could have convened a meeting much earlier before the last week meeting for them to have a proper roadmap so they will be able to follow the roadmap. So if there is a need for them to even suspend their decision to resign en bloc, then they would have. But they GMA believe that because government was unable to convene that meeting and rather hurriedly convene a meeting somewhere last week, Friday, they think that they have not been treated fairly. For that reason, they would
Confirm this for me.
This government has promised that when you see the fiscal minister, they have promised that by the close of this, the government should be able to resolve their problem. Let me quickly say, the government is unable to resolve the problems of the Ghana Medical Association. Then from tomorrow, that's Wednesday and Thursday, the GMA are going to withdraw the emergency treatment as they stated earlier. And all those who will be in their wards, they are going to engage them, refer them to other clinics or other private hospitals. If they are unable to do that, then clearly it means that GMA will withdraw the emergency.
Okay, Daniel, confirm this. Some of the doctors, for instance, the Deputy General Secretary is even saying that already the doctors have resigned en bloc and that they're only treating patients that they admitted into wards. They are treating them and discharging them so that once those patients are discharged, all of them will leave. And according to them, particularly the Deputy General Secretary, the doctors have already resigned and they are getting ready to pack out employers.
The roadmap that were given by the leadership of the Ghana Medical Association, they itemized three things. One, withdrawal of OPD treatment for the first week, the withdrawal of emergency treatment for the second week, and all of them resigning en bloc for the third week. And currently, we are in the second week.
Great.
So the second week is a clear reflection that they will be withdrawing the emergency treatment. Then from the third week, if government is unable to resolve their problem, that's when all of them will resign en bloc. So that they said they will clear themselves unemployed. So in that case, whoever wants to engage them can engage them. But we are just hoping and believing that looking at how murky the situation has become, how difficult the situation has become within the health sector, especially that of gospel, that of the junior doctors, that of the psychiatric hospitals, including the doctors. We are just hoping that government will be able to resolve these problems before the end of this week.
Daniel Opoku is a man who does a lot of labor issues. He's been talking to me about the labor front and all the issues about the strikes. And of course, the good news is that the state attorneys are back to duty and psychiatric nurses are returning tomorrow. Government says it will handle the doctor's issue. Harun Idrisu says it is a normal relationship between employers and employees, and likely, he said, by the close of the Friday, the doctor's issue would be settled. You're still live here on News 10. Now, let's stay on this particular strikes, but let's give it a political twist because the NPP is saying that the NDC government has not been able to resolve the issues of strikes because of the economic challenges. Now, it is asking government to quickly step in and resolve the strike before it degenerates into crisis. Let's listen to the General Secretary of the NPP, Kwabena Ejapong.
It is quite clear that the increasing labor unrest is not taking place in a vacuum. It is a culmination of the incompetent handling of the Ghanaian economy, coupled with unprecedented levels of corruption witnessed under the NDC administration led by President John Mahama. The blame for the current spate of industrial strikes therefore lies squarely with the government and not with the workers. The government has proven to be very insensitive to the plight of workers and has shown bad faith in negotiating with workers.
The NPP General Secretary said the government has been insensitive to the plight of health workers in general.
The public health sector is one of the most important pillars of our national development. The blame for the current spate of industrial strikes therefore lies squarely with the government and not with the workers. The government has proven to be very insensitive to the plight of workers and has shown bad faith in negotiating with workers. Their penchant to rain insults and cast innuendos only serves to heighten tensions. During the tenure of the NPP administration, President Kufuor exercised his best endeavors and engaged in constructive dialogue with diplomacy and tact with public workers. The NPP respected the value and productivity of all workers, and as such, were able to stem the brain drain in the health sector. This was only achieved after gradually enhancing the conditions of service of health workers. Things are really in disarray. As of now, many nurses, pharmacists, and other trained health workers who completed their training as far back as 2013 have not even been absorbed by the public health sector, although many public health institutions, especially those in the countryside, are yearning for them. It is time for the President to sit up and ensure that sustainable solutions are found to the many problems in this sector. We wish once again to take this opportunity to appeal to all the various health workers and professionals in the country to exercise maximum restraint and consider the plight of the poor and afflicted and continue to work even during this difficult period.
And resolve the challenges of the health sector. That's according to the NPP there, advising President John Dramani Mahama. And that's how we're wrapping up the big one. But that's not the fact that we're wrapping up, because when we come back, we'll open the phone line 0302 763 450, because you get a chance to speak to us.